Donald Trump is demanding some accountability for sure. I mean, just look at what he put out on his social media today. Russia hoax is now totally undisputed. The facts are all there in black and white. It is the biggest scandal in American history. The perpetrators of this crime must pay a big price. This can never be allowed to happen in the country again. Meanwhile, Kash Patel says he's got burn bags filled with documents that were being kept in a hidden room in the Hoover building that the FBI was hanging on to. I mean, this is like wild stuff, you guys. And they keep getting proven wrong over and over and over and over again, right? Like Clapper trying to say, oh, that laptop wasn't Hunter Biden's. He was part of the 51X spooks. So they tried to tell us, heck, they're taking down the New York Post Twitter account at the time because New York Post was reporting this. This is how wild it is. And then they're like gaslighting everybody, trying to say, no, you're the crazy one because really Donald Trump is the problem, as though he is the Manchurian candidate. Listen, I'm just going to say one thing, and I'll say one thing about this. The president has just sent 2 submarines to be off the coast of Russia. Okay, nobody wants any kind of conflict to heat up. But the fact that he's got some submarines hanging out there, that would not be done by the person that they wanted to have in the office. Okay, just another little tidbit for you. Anyway, Kash Patel, he's got the burn bags, so this should get interesting, right?
Me, as the director of the FBI, the former Russiagate guy, when I first got to the Bureau, found a room that Comey and others hid from the world in the Hoover building, full of documents and computer hard drives that no one had ever seen or heard of. Locked the key and hid access and just said, no one's ever going to find this place.
What?
Yeah. So my guys are going through that right now.
What's in there?
A lot of stuff. I mean, that's the thing. People are like, well, okay, go arrest him. And I'm like, okay, well, how about you let me run a methodical investigation?
Okay, so the investigation's happening. Now, it's a fair question. What the heck are burn bags? So I didn't know this either because, well, it doesn't really come up, shall we say, in everyday conversation. All I could think of was that movie with Lindsay Lohan, The Burn Book, which is not quite a burn bag. Well, Tulsi Gabbard was asked about this as well by Glenn Beck. Here's her explanation. Apparently, it is pretty common in intel communities, and the intel community had a mission, right? And Tulsi's proven all that out right now. The mission was to destroy the Trump presidency, to try and take him down, and to undermine him at every single turn, trying to tell the American public that he was only there because of the Russians, that we didn't actually elect him. Think of how demoralizing that is to the American people. You're effectively telling them that their vote is no good. What a crazy thing to say. I mean, crazy thing to say. Anyway, here's Tulsi explaining the burn bags. Listen.
Sensitive documents related to the origins of the Trump-Russia probe buried in multiple burn bags in secret rooms inside the Bureau. What's a burn bag?
A burn bag is something that you'll find in many offices throughout the intelligence community, throughout these different workspaces in national security. Basically, if I have a document that's highly classified, I read it, I review it, I'm done with it. My copy can then go in the burn bag to make sure that it's not doesn't end up in the wrong hands, that there's not an unauthorized disclosure of classified information. It's a very different story, however, if you use a burn bag to try to get rid of evidence of which maybe there is only one copy of, and then hide it in a secret room in the FBI. That is a tactic, obviously, that has been used by those deep staters, these bad actors within the intelligence community to try to get rid of evidence. Another tactic that's often used is overclassifying information. This is what happened with the Steele dossier. This was already widely publicized as a discredited document. But what John Brennan did and James Clapper did as the CIA director and the Obama's director of national intelligence, they didn't want anybody to know that they used the Steele dossier as a source for this intelligence assessment that was filled with falsehoods they published in January of 2017, as well as other really shoddy intelligence sources.
It was so shoddy. It was so bad. I couldn't believe it when I found out that this is what they were actually basing their whole case off of. Because again, as a journalist, as a reporter, I would never take something like that and bring it to you, bring it to the public, because it was so ridiculous, even the way it was written. It was clearly written like as opposition research. And for them not to ask the question, hey, where does this come from? Can we like triple check our sources? Well, they didn't need to because they didn't want to, because they had something that they wanted to go with. According to Tulsi, December 8th, that was the day they all gathered in the big Oval Office. Susan Rice even took the time to write a CYA email apparently after the fact saying that yes, while President Obama wants the intel community to follow up on this, he wanted to make sure that they did it through proper channels. Whatever the channels, they definitely weren't proper. And the outcome of all of this was this that I'm about to play you.
Trump didn't actually win the election in 2016. He lost the election, and he was put into office because the Russians interfered.
Trump knows he's an illegitimate president.
The president-elect, although legally elected, is not legitimate.
I don't see this president-elect as a legitimate president.
You said you believe that Russia's interference altered the outcome of the election.
I do. We have a president who, if in fact it is proven, has been assisted by the Russians and may in fact not be a legitimate president.
The one thing that Trump is fearful of when it comes to his being president is that finally we will see how illegitimate his victory actually was.
I have an objection.
I object to the 15 votes from the state of North Carolina. I object because people are horrified.
He's an illegitimate president.
Do you believe Trump is a legitimate president?
What I believe is that there's no question that the outcome of this election was affected by the Russian interference.
There absolutely is a cloud of illegitimacy.
So that legitimacy is in question, yes.
So that was a very tainted election. And in that sense, it's illegitimate.
Wow. Okay, so more posts from Trump saying, nothing is going to change until this happens. And he shows some people in jail. And then he says he wants Barack Obama being held accountable for this. I mean, I'll just say this, guys. Like what actually happened was so wrong. And we've talked about this before, like in kids sports where you have to go up and shake everybody's hand after the fact. The other team, maybe, your team lost, but the reality is the world goes on. In the case of Obama and Hillary, yeah, their team lost, but the world did go on. And yet they didn't want it to the point where they were trying to get in the way of anything that Donald Trump could do by completely undermining his authority. And it's why the president now, President Trump, is back in office. You tried really hard, guys, now, didn't you, to make sure he didn't get back in there? And yet he's there and he's demanding accountability with Radcliffe now over at the CIA saying we need accountability. We need indictments. You've got Tulsi demanding indictments and, of course, the president himself. So a lot is going to come down to Pam Bondi. The pressure's on, right? Here's Radcliffe.
So what I think I hear you saying is there is still an opportunity for indictments, potential prosecutions, accountability from those people who may have lied under oath, like John Brennan, James Comey, and perhaps Hillary Clinton.
Well, that's why I've made the referrals that I have. DNI Gabbard has made referrals. Yeah. And why we're going to continue to share the intelligence that would support the ability of our Department of Justice to make bring fair and just claims against those who have perpetrated this hoax against the American people and this stain on our country.
Director, one other question on this. Tulsi, as well as President Trump, used the word
treason. Treason is what she goes on to say. In other words, was this treasonous to the point where you are so badly trying to undermine the will of the people if you're trying to set up the incoming president for disaster? I mean, it's like dirty games that they're playing. And we know politics is bad, but this is a whole other level of bad. And the president, now President Trump, is looking back on this and saying, wow. And that can't ever happen again. It's just not how we're supposed to run our country.